Welcome in, everyone. This is episode 80 of
80.
Catfish on Ice. Yes, you heard that right. We are at episode 80 of Catfish on Ice. This is Chad Mitten, your host, with Rich Howe. As we go through this, I got to tell you, Rich, I am going through a little bit of this seasonal blues right now because it gets dark earlier. And this is the time of year where I kind of got to push the reset button a little bit here because it's getting dark at like 4:30 in the evening. The days get shorter, and there's no Preds hockey. I feel like every time we do a new episode, there's no Preds hockey, which makes me sad. The way the schedule is being laid out. But other than that, I have no complaints. I'm really happy to be here. Happy to have you with me tonight, Rich, for episode 80 of Catfish on Ice.
Well, if it cheers you up any, I don't know if it's going to cheer you up, but it did me. We actually put our Christmas tree up here over the weekend.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so we like to get the tree up like really.
Hey,
early
that's a really fun debate that everyone likes to get in. How early do you put the Christmas decorations up? And hey, Rich, I'm just going to tell you right now, that is on the early side right there.
I agree. We listen to Christmas music in the car too, so. We're all about it, man. We're ready.
I gotta say, this past year has completely flown by. We've almost been a full year into doing this podcast, which is just completely blows my mind.
Yeah, I can't believe it. We need to figure out when number 100 is going to hit. When is that?
We're gonna have to do the math on that one. We'll work on that.
Coming up.
All right. So we don't have a ton of Pred stuff going on right now. We do have some quick hitter topics to get into tonight. But we really want to let our listeners get in on the episode. We'll see if they get in on it. We're streaming live on our YouTube channel right now. We're also on Twitter. We've got Lindsay already in the chat right now saying, "Oh, hello, I will be back in a few minutes. I got to watch Iggy get inducted into the Hall. See you in a few minutes." Lindsay, thanks for checking in. Lindsay, absolutely. We love you. You are one of our favorite listeners out there. We don't like to pick favorites, but Lindsay, you're up there. We love you. We will see you in a few minutes. She is a diehard David Riddick fan. She's a big-time Flames fan. She knows her hockey. And I'm pretty sure, Rich, you're playing her in fantasy hockey this week. So
I am.
I think you're going to need a lot of luck this week to get a win because Lindsay's got a good team.
I got destroyed last week. It was bad, real bad. But I don't even have anybody playing tonight. I think I got one person.
It's a pretty slow night for the NHL. I think there's only two games. There's only two games going on right now. Let's get into what we plan on getting into tonight. We hope that we can get some of our listeners in on the chat stream tonight on this Monday. We hope your week's off to a good start. Let's let you know what we got in store for you here on Catfish on Ice, episode 80. We are keeping an eye on the comments throughout the episode. We are going to talk about. Are we in for a little bit of a fool's gold scenario here with the Preds? Are they toying with our hearts? Are they messing around with us? We're 15 games through the season. We're not even at the quarter mark yet. But the Preds are 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. And even in all of their losses, except for maybe the Winnipeg Jets loss, they have been right there in it to win it till the end.
Absolutely.
So it's only natural to feel a little start feeling pretty good about yourself here. So we are going to get into that. That's going to be our main topic of the night in the opening face-off are the Preds dishing us out some fool's gold here. We will get into that. We hope that our listeners will get in on that as well. Give us their thoughts on that. We are going to also get into Roman Josi. I feel like he is playing on an MVP caliber level, not just a Norris Trophy, not just on a Norris Trophy level, but on an MVP level. I think he is that vital to this Predators team right now. And that is what the definition of an MVP is how important are you to your team? And I feel like he is such an important piece to this team. And so we're going to touch on that as the episode goes on. We're also going to go back and look at some other, historically speaking, we're going to go back and look at some other starts to the Preds season in Preds history as far as hot starts through their first 15 games. and there is some recent memory that might make you a little worried. I'm just going to leave it right there. We were going to say that. We got our buddy Kyle Perkins joining us towards the end of the episode for another edition of Perk's Picks. He'll be joining us in about 20 minutes, so stay tuned for that. He's got his picks of the week from Nashville Predators hockey. I'm sure he's got plenty to give to us. And we will talk about our Fantasy Hockey League, the official Catfish on Ice podcast Fantasy Hockey League. We got to see who's doing well and who's trending down, who's trending up. Rich is rolling his eyes. I think that might not be good for him, but we'll see. We'll see. Yep. We're presented by DraftKings. Get in on the conversation. Get on YouTube right now. Follow our YouTube channel or get on Twitter if you're watching it right now. Give us your thoughts as we go through the episode. We want to hear it. We will read it live on air. We will talk about it. Whatever you want to talk about tonight, we are winging it. We are calling this the Wing It. This is the Wing It episode. Yep. This is our open discussion we can talk about. Just leave out politics and we're good.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. We should put that disclaimer up there. All right.
That business.
Let's get into it with our opening face-off. Are we getting some fool's gold here? It's a pretty basic question. I think it's a fair question because the Preds are not – you can't put the Preds in that class of teams who are in it every year and they just figure out a way to do it. The Preds are one of those teams where you just have a hard time trusting them. I know the diehard fans are feeling that way right now. I'm feeling that way a little bit. The national media probably feels that way about the Preds. Do we really want to trust the Preds right now? Or is this a little bit of fool's gold? You got a 10-game sample size right now where they're 8-1-1. Their overtime loss was against a really horrendous Blackhawks team, which puts a little bit of a dark cloud over it. Rich, how do you feel about it? Are you starting to come around? Or are you still a little bit of a non-believer right now?
I am riding the fence at the moment. I want to believe. I really do with all my heart want to believe that this is for real. But there's just something that holds me back. It just seems like when we've been on this roller coaster before that something's happened and we've been let down pretty
You're like the old poster of the UFOs in the sky, and it says, "I want to believe."
I want to believe. I do.
It's not
really
only it's not UFOs; it's the Nashville Predators, and so I'm going to equate UFOs, the existence of UFOs, to you believing in the Nashville Predators being good. Is that what I'm getting at there?
I don't know. I really want. I think they will. I think things will be good. They're playing really well. Man, it would just. I don't know what could happen to derail them. We saw them play good against the Blues. That was a tough game. They wound up beating them. They've beaten some good teams. There's some obviously good teams coming out. You take away that Winnipeg loss and then that goofy Chicago loss, and it's if they had beaten Chicago and maybe like done a little better, I would have.
Here's what I gotta say about it. I don't think there's anything the Predators can do right now to make people believe in them any more than what they're already doing. The book is almost already written on the Predators until they magically just keep winning. That's really what it's going to take. It's going to take the season progressing. It's going to take longevity.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are like, look, we're 15 games through the season. And this is going to be a really good segue into our next topic here. But a lot of your fans who've been following this team since the beginning, they've seen this song and dance a million times. The Preds go on these streaks where they just look unstoppable. That's a big reason why they've made the playoffs 7 straight seasons.
Yeah.
Is because they do go on these long stretches where they look unstoppable. And that's what they're doing right now. They look great. They've got their top high-paid players producing. Matt Duchene, Roman Josi, Ryan Johansson, Mikael Granlund. They're doing all this with Philip Forsberg out of the lineup. So they're doing a lot of great things that they deserve credit for. But it's still 15 games into the season, and we've also seen the Predators out of nowhere just go backwards and go on a 6-game losing streak, a 4-game losing streak, or lose to really bad teams. And that's what we're afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. But they've got my hopes up. I will tell you that, because their brand of hockey has been very, very exciting to watch. They have not been winning games. Like, they've been entertaining. And Rob Reese came on our podcast in episode 79 of NHL Network, and fantasy hockey analyst for NHL.com. He came on the podcast in episode 79 and talked about it as well. The Predators put an entertaining product on the ice, even if you're not a fan of them. That's what's got my hopes up about them, is they are an entertaining team to watch.
They are. You know that they're not going to quit no matter what. You're seeing a lot more chippiness from them, I guess. There's usually a fight every game. We've been seeing that a lot, and I think that is, sets the tone. It is entertaining. It's very entertaining to watch. You're 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a really good performance out of UC Saros. Matt Duchene scored a goal again. He's on like a huge streak. I think he's like, for the past 10 games, he's like ranked second in the NHL for points. You just know what you're going to get with them. They are entertaining, like you said, and it's fun to watch. We're in a good spot right now. But like you alluded to, we've been in this spot before. So
we've got our hearts dangling out there. I equate it to when you're dating. I equate it to when you're dating a girl and you're starting to really like her, and you're feeling like you're getting somewhere, but you're just not entirely sure. And then she just ghosts you and stops calling you back.
Yeah.
That's what the Preds are.
Not that bad yet.
That's what the Preds are to me right now. Like, they're that girl that I'm starting to like. I'm dating her. We've been out on a few dates. She's getting my heart. She's tugging my heartstrings. And I'm like, I really like this girl. And then the next day, for no reason at all, she ghosts me, and she doesn't reply to my text messages anymore.
Maybe it's not that bad.
I just gave a window into my dating life to all the listeners. Welcome in there.
I think it's more like you like this girl, and you're hanging out, and everything seems to be going good, and you're at dinner, and you just happen to catch some guy texting her on your phone.
Oh, that's what the Preds are.
You're kind of like this could go good or bad.
Wait a minute.
It might be your brother. It might be your brother.
So the Preds are the equivalent to a girl that you're into, but she's dating not just you, but another guy too.
No, you don't know.
Oh, okay.
You don't
All right,
know
that's fair. That's fair. I like that. I actually like that analogy.
It could be bad. It could be her
brother. All right. Maybe that's where we're at right now. We need to get to like the 30 or 40 game mark where the Preds are still playing this way, and that's when the Preds become that dateable girl where you're like, okay, I'm ready for you to come over and meet the parents. I'm ready for you to. We're going somewhere, so we got to get to that 30 or 40 game mark. We're only at the 15 game mark right now. That's a very fair assessment. All right, I love that a lot. That's a perfect segue into our next segment here. Mm-hmm. We're in the Wing It episode. Bring your comments in. If we get them, we will share them. We're in the Wing It episode. That's what this episode is the Wing It episode of episode 80 of Catfish on Ice. And so let's look back at some previous starts for the Preds in recent memory, going all the way back, and see how have they started through the first 15 games in recent memory. That's what I really was looking into today. And it honestly did not make me feel any better about what we were just talking about, which is fool's gold here. So 2019-20 season, the season that got shortened by the pandemic, the Predators started 9 wins, 4 losses, 2 overtime losses. So basically a very similar record to what they are now.
Yes.
Almost identical.
Except for the amount of goals. They had 60 goals that year. They're only at 44 this year. But it's a different team.
But different, the same. I'm saying I'm just going by record, purely record and points. Guess what the Predators proceeded to do right after that 15 game mark? They lost 6 games in a row.
Yeah, I remember that was, and then at Christmas around December was bleak, very bleak. I remember that. That
And
was actually when Victor Arvidsson got hurt around
and that
Thanksgiving
was
time.
and that was also when Peter Laviolette got fired in January. John Hines came aboard. John Hines was only head coach for around 2 months before the season got stopped due to COVID-19, and the rest is history. But I'm just saying the Preds opened that season off very hot as well. And not only that, but this is going to really creep you out. Matt Duchene had almost identical point production to start that season as to where he is at now. And we're all gushing over Matt Duchene right now. We are all we can't get enough of it. We're like, wow, Matt Duchene is a whole new person in a Predators uniform. And I'm saying that as well. I'm like, wow, this guy is completely locked in. He can't be stopped. He's playing like a top line player, like we want him to be, an $8 million player. And guess what? That's literally how his Preds career started.
Yeah.
His first 15 games in a Predators uniform, Matt Duchene had 15 points.
I actually forgot about that. You're right.
He scored 3 points in his first game as a Nashville Predator.
I remember that too.
I'm totally throwing a dark cloud over this 8-1-1 streak they're on right now. But I'm trying to speak facts here, and I'm trying to be honest. And so we have to keep things in perspective here, and that's a big thing to keep on as far as what you're saying, Rich. You're on the fence about it because it is just 15 games, and they do keep winning, and they've got us thinking because the expectations were so low going into the season.
Right.
This is very different. This is very different circumstances from the past where the Preds had high expectations in the preseason. They were coming off a President's Trophy, for instance, in 2019-20. So that 15-game start in 2019-20, I mean, it really wasn't that impressive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They had a President's Trophy 2 seasons before that. My bad. 2017-18, they won the President's Trophy. And then they lost, they lost to the Winnipeg Jets that season. And so the point is, we've seen these good starts in the past, and it's not really that impressive. This year, I think it's more impressive because the expectations were already so low coming in.
And I think that helps a lot because even us, we were like, I would have never dreamed that they were going to be playing as well as they did. But and now that we did set those lower expectations, we're actually feeling pretty good about things. So I just hope that we don't get our expectations like too high right now because we don't, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen. Absolutely. So
and then let's look at this. The season they went to the Stanley Cup final, 2016-2017 season. That team had to scratch and claw their way to even make the playoffs that year. People forget that. And then they started that season 6 wins, 6 losses, and 2 overtime losses for 14 points. So they're ahead of that pace.
Yeah.
From that year. Yeah. So it just goes to show you what happens in the first 15 games, for better or worse, really doesn't tell you how it's going to end up.
It doesn't.
In our power rankings every Thursday, we've been talking about the Colorado Avalanche and how we know they're going to figure it out eventually. This isn't who they really are. We have to hope that the Preds aren't the flip side of that and that they're going to ground out and level out and not be as good as what they're showing us right now. We got to hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, another season. I don't know if you have it on your list, but 2018, 2019, did you put that one down?
12-3-0.
12-3-0
through their first 15 because for
the
sake of 15 games, because that's how many games we're through right now. They actually went 13-3, did they not? Before they lost their next game,
I don't remember. I didn't. Yeah, I would just looked at the top 15, but
they got off to a really hot start that year.
They were, and what I was getting at though is what was the end result? First round loss to Dallas.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
And that was that first round loss to Dallas was kind of the beginning of we've got to tear this thing down.
Yep. Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I mean, and you can go back even further and see some good starts. But if you get really far back into the Preds history, you start looking at a team that just wanted to make the playoffs at that point. So
Right.
any good start was a good start at that point. So you see the fan perspective evolve as the team got more and more successful. Of course, when they made that Stanley Cup in 2017, that drastically changed everything when it came to the fans' expectations of this team. So that's why you see the fans come down so hard on David Poile and the rest of this team, is because they don't really care about making the playoffs anymore. And even now, you see the Preds playing so well. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10, and still there's a lot of fans who are like, I'm not ready to believe in this team just yet.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a social media post the other day. I can't remember what the subject was. It might have been on Facebook. I don't remember. So we all, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But they were like talking. Oh, I think it was talking about Rocco Grimaldi, maybe because he actually is playing in Milwaukee now. It said something about, why did they do that? Hines is trash and Poile is trash. I'm like,
yeah.
Hines is like, why? Like, they're playing good right now. Like, save that for when they're going.
I'm telling you, there are people who are never going to like John Hines
or Poile. I mean, after all he's done, like,
I understand the Poile part way more than the Hines part, because Poile's been the only general manager for this team ever, and so people are just ready for a change. I can understand that way more than what I get from Hines, where, I mean, Hines has done everything he can do since he's been here. All right, so I put a question out there for Preds fans on social media. Got a lot of good responses here. I said, which Preds player has surprised you the most with their play this year? A player that you expected to not bring much of anything of value, but has really been a positive impact.
Oh, okay.
So this isn't just a player who's playing well, who you already expected to play well. I'm talking about a player who you expected next to nothing from, and all of a sudden they're playing well. Now, pretty much everyone predictably said Matt Duchene. Yeah. But I think this is a trick question here, because Matt Duchene, I mean, you expected him to be productive. So maybe he's playing more productive than you expected him to. But
that's it right there. Yeah. Yeah. But we should expect him to do well every year, but unfortunately we've been let down. But yeah.
We did get some good responses here. So Matt Glenn on Facebook said, Duchene and Johansson. I feel like Novak is on the cusp of being something. Jeannot is doing exactly what I thought he would do, which is be an all-around good, mostly defensive player. So he named like 4 different players. And there are a lot of nominations on here. That's the point of the question, is you can name a lot of different players. Will Thompson on Facebook also showed a lot of love to Novak. Said Novak has been playing really well. Not been lucky in the points department, but definitely has made a good impact. I totally agree with that.
Yep.
We've got Jeremy Baker said, so far the $8 million centers are earning their money.
That is right. He's absolutely right.
Hey, through 15 games, you cannot argue with that.
Not at all.
Let's look at some other ones here real quick. A lot of Duchene. Duchene easily wins this answer here. Pretty much everyone is saying Matt Duchene. Rem Pitlick. Someone said Rem Pitlick. Okay. He's so sorry, Bill Harmon, but Rem Pitlick's no longer on this team.
He was but productive for Minnesota.
He did score a hat trick. Big congrats to Rem Pitlick. His first 3 NHL goals come in hat trick form. How crazy is that? Preds North continues to be,
that's got to be a record.
Electric.
That's got to be some kind of record.
Should we just go ahead and call the Minnesota Wild like our farm team? And just,
I was waiting for them to actually pick up Rocco Grimaldi when they put him on.
Should we just call it like an unofficial affiliation with the Minnesota Wild? We send all of our castaways to Minnesota.
I guess.
So who's the next player on the Preds who we think might get shipped off? Because he probably should go ahead and book his flight to Minnesota, whoever the next person is on the chopping block. Philip Forsberg?
Oh my gosh. That would be crazy.
So let's go ahead and decide right now that Philip Forsberg's probably going to be traded to Minnesota, because that just goes along with the trend that Nashville sends all their castaways to Minnesota. So Philip Forsberg, if you're listening right now, go ahead and start planning your move to Minnesota. Start looking at property. Start figuring out where you're going to live.
Probably
because it feels that's what's trending. Okay.
I'm glad you brought up. I have a question. I'm glad you brought up Philip Forsberg.
Okay.
Here's my question. They're playing really good right now. Philip Forsberg's not playing. What do you do when he's ready to come back and play?
Oh, very good question.
What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
Michael McCarron comes out.
Okay.
Philip Forsberg goes in, obviously.
Right.
But it's still a matter of when does he come back. I haven't seen really any updates. Have you?
No.
When it comes to when he's expected back, he's still week to week. No. For as far as I know, I did see Brooks Bratton update the practice lines before they went to Toronto today, and he was not seen skating from what I saw. So I would not expect Philip Forsberg to be back anytime this week. But when he does come back, I think Michael McCarron's the easy player you take out because he's the one that's pretty much playing because of that. And he's done well. I think Michael McCarron's done well in his time. He's not a Philip Forsberg, of course. But that's what you end up doing. As far as your lines, oh, wow. I mean,
right.
What do you even do about that?
I don't know. I mean, they're playing so good right now, like with what they have.
What would you do? What would you do when Philip Forsberg comes back?
I don't even know. I have no clue. I do not envy John Hines having to make that decision. I'm sure what he's going to do, he's going to put him obviously back on the first line and move Jeannot somewhere. But Jeannot's been playing well. So I don't know. I think he kind of deserves to be up there. But, I don't know. I mean, because we got Matthew Olivier in as well. So what do you do with him? Like he took
very true.
He took Jeannot's spot with Sissons and Trennan, so I don't know. Maybe Jeannot needs top 6 minutes. I mean, to be productive. I mean, you just don't know. I have no clue.
We would definitely expect Michael McCarron to come out first. It depends on who comes back first, Nick Cousins or Philip Forsberg. But I think Michael McCarron's probably the first person to head out. But you have a tough decision to make with Matthew Olivier. But you would expect him to probably come out as well and Fines to probably go back to whatever he was using before they both got injured. That's the easy thing to predict, but we'll see. All right. This is episode 80 of Catfish on Ice. We welcome all of our listeners for getting in on the chat on our YouTube channel or through Twitter on this Monday, non-Preds game day. The Preds are traveling to Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. They came back for one home game after a 6-game road trip. That's got to be rough.
It is, I'm sure, tough. But
and hey, at least they got the Coyotes, which I don't think they looked particularly that great, but they got the win. They took care of business, which is what a good team's supposed to do when you're playing an inferior opponent. I don't think it was the prettiest game. I didn't come out of that game feeling like beat my chest or anything, but they did get the win, which is important. So,
well, I will say one thing. I was just looking at the stats. 35 penalty minutes. Had that not been Arizona, they would have lost this game. That's just
that game started off so chippy and so sloppy and just ugly. Right. I don't think the Coyotes had a shot on goal for like the first 8 or 9 minutes, if I remember correctly.
Something like that.
I mean, that's one way. That's one way to protect your goaltender is to just not force them to have to make a save.
Yeah, I mean there was only.
All right, let's Kyle Perkins into the episode here.
The shots were only like 24 to 23, so. Look at that. It's Kyle Perkins.
Yeah.
That's a whole
We got Kyle Perkins joining the podcast.
We need somebody to make you a song
What's
like
that?
Blues Clues, but it's Perk's Picks. Perk's Picks, Perk's Picks.
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't that be cool? You need that. You know what Blues Clues is.
Keep that evil off me, Ricky Bobby.
You know what Blues Clues is. You got kids. Yeah.
So, Kyle, I can go ahead and tell you right now, you don't have to worry about that. Your theme song will not be the Blues Clues theme song. You are safe.
Oh, man. Lindsay says hi, Kyle.
Hi, Lindsay. Speaking of
hey, Kyle.
Songs, I just
want to say one thing. The only way you have to worry about your new theme song being the Blues Clues theme song is if you beat me in fantasy hockey. We'll leave it at that.
Oh,
well,
blackmailing you. I'm blackmailing you right now.
Hey, Now Sidney Crosby came back again, and he got me a whopping negative 0.5 points in what should have been a suspension.
But
wait.
Did Crosby not get you any points for that slingshot of a throw he made on that player where he threw the guy into the boards like a rag doll? He didn't get you any points for that?
I couldn't even believe that.
That's
like they were talking about more not suspending him or anything for Borowiecki for hitting that Arizona player with his knee. But Sidney Crosby like slings a dude across the ice into the boards and like, oh, he's fine, nothing. That's ridiculous.
You know, you watch a lot of football and you hear a lot about intent to injure.
Oh, right.
Crosby's was intent to injure. Borowiecki, yeah, it was a bad hit, but I don't think there was intent to injure.
Right. Yeah.
I think
Lindsay,
it was
go ahead.
Poorly timed and everything else. It was an unfortunate incident.
Lindsay says on the YouTube chat here, what the heck was that from Sid? Yeah, so here's what I think about it, and I want to see what you guys think as well, Kyle and Rich. Sidney's been dealing with – I'm not defending him at all, but Sidney has been like the quote-unquote chosen one, almost like we think about LeBron James in the NBA. Very similar career paths. Crosby's been like a target his entire career. He's never been a big-time physical, like get out there and fight type of player, almost like Connor McDavid in a way. Connor McDavid shies away from that stuff as well because they're superstars. Why get mixed up in all that? But Crosby as his career has progressed over the years, Crosby has gotten way more and more defensive and chippy and like, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to start pushing back. And I mean, let's talk about from a Preds perspective, the 2017 Stanley Cup final. He's bouncing PK Subban's head on the ice like it's a freaking basketball, and nothing freaking came of it. And he accused it of like my glove was stuck in his helmet or something. I couldn't get my glove loose. Like, come on, that's like the weakest excuse I've ever heard. Like, just go ahead and own it and say what you were doing. Like, you were getting in on the muck. You were getting in the dirtiness, the muckiness. It's okay. But Crosby seems to act like he's not that type of player, but he's become more and more like that type of player. He comes off very chippy, very defensive, very like, I'm not going to let this, I'm not going to get picked on anymore. Like, and I respect that, but just be who you are, you know? I want it to be called evenly. Like, I don't care if you're a superstar or not. Call it evenly, NHL. That's all I care about.
I think it's, he's frustrated. And I think he knows that the window for that team is closed. If it's or almost closed, they had a horrible last season. They got bounced out early in the playoffs, and I think he's probably just frustrated.
He's fed up. He's done with it. Yeah, go ahead, Rich. You got a comment here on YouTube.
Yeah, Ken Clark on YouTube says, seriously, Crosby as insufferable and untouchable as ever. That's true.
Very true.
He is untouchable. Him and like Patrick Kane, those guys are like golden boys in the NHL. Everybody loves them. Well,
that's what. Hey, so that's very good comment there, Ken Clark. We agree with you. Thanks for getting in on the YouTube chat here. We invite everyone else to get in on this chat. If you're watching right now, don't be shy. We got Kyle Perkins. We're about to go to Perk's picks here on episode 80 of Catfish on Ice. Another thing about Sidney Crosby here. So a lot of people like we recognize greatness. Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest players of our generation. There's no disputing that. But then you think about a player like Alex Ovechkin. They've always been rivals, personal rivals of each other. Ovechkin doesn't shy away from physicality his entire career. He gets in there. He gets in the dirty areas. He's very much – so that's why people tend to levitate more towards players like that over a player like Crosby, where for most of his career, he shied away from contact. He has always been protected from as far as not getting called evenly. So now you're finally seeing him do things like this, and people are frustrated because, first of all, that's not how you've been most of your career. And now you want to play this. Now you want to play this way, and that's fine if you want to play this way. There's plenty of players who play this way, but call it evenly. That's all I care about. Call it evenly.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
What do you think about it, Kyle, with the Sidney Crosby thing? Because I think it's a good topic.
I think you look at Mr. Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson is Tom Wilson. And he does not care what you think about that. He's going to go out and do what he does. I can I do not like the guy, but I can respect that.
Yep.
You know, he's going to come out and he's going to pull some either very borderline or over the line stuff, and you know it's going to happen. But he doesn't ever come out and try to say that he's not that guy. So, you know, at least I can respect that. Whenever you've got somebody, and another one here lately, and I hate to say it because I like the guy, PK Subban's going to hurt somebody.
Oh, yeah.
He's on his third slew foot of the year right now. He's going to hurt somebody and hurt somebody badly.
And whether you want to be whether you want to be a rough style player or not, there's no room for that kind of stuff in this league. And so, and that's why we're upset about Crosby, is because he could have. Well, who's the player he even hit? I missed it.
I'm not even sure.
The Capitals player.
I read his name and I cannot remember it. He's not a bigger name player.
But either way, it was very much a malicious intent what he did. I mean, and hockey's a very rough sport. So I'm not trying to come down on Crosby like, oh my God, you should be like, you're such like, I'm not trying to show fake outrage here. Like, it's hockey. It gets ugly sometimes. Just, I want it to be called evenly. That's all I care about. Yeah. All right. So with that to be said, we got Lindsay all up in here. Time to go and cry, friends. I'm going to be a mess. I'm not mentally or emotionally ready for this. Is she talking about Iggy?
Yeah, she's talking about Iggy.
Who is that? I know he's going in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
She's talking about Jerome McGinley.
Okay, all right, cool.
Right?
I'm sorry. Like, I didn't pick up hockey back until 2018.
Jerome McGinley was like Calgary Flames allure. Okay. Like, he is like he's our Pecorine for them. Only he is a great, one of the best scorers of that generation, goal scorers. So, yes, I totally understand why she's so emotional right now.
So when did he retire? Do you know? Either of you know?
I don't know the exact.
It's been a while. Before 2018?
Yes, before 2018.
Thank you.
Wonder what I'm doing. I'm trying to sneeze.
I didn't know what Kyle was doing. Kyle stopped me in my tracks. I was like, what is he doing right now on the other side of the screen?
No, I'm trying not to sneeze through my microphone.
It'll be okay.
All right.
So we're talking about Jerome McGinley here, though. Okay. Another outstanding, great player of the 90s and early 2000s. Definitely Mount Rushmore of Flames players. I totally understand why Lindsay, as a diehard Flames fan, is emotional tonight, because that's like our Pecorine for us.
He got traded there as a prospect, kind of like Forsberg did, a 1-for-1 deal. And he spent, I want to say, 13 seasons in Calgary.
Oh, wow.
And just absolutely great goal scorer. Just
that's awesome.
He was one
franchise. Good dude.
And one of the things about Jerome McGinley too, now that we're getting to it, because this is a wing it episode. Yep, we said that at the beginning. We're winging it. We don't have a strong outline of what we're talking about tonight. Sometimes those are the most fun episodes. And we don't have a lot going on in the Preds circle today. Tomorrow. There's no game. They beat the Coyotes on Saturday. Big whoop. Do we really want to run around cheerleading about that? No. But they are 8-1-1. We talked about it a little bit in their last 10. Yeah. That's awesome. We've compared them to previous seasons, but really we're winging it tonight. So let's talk about Jerome McGinley. I mean, his stats speak for themselves. I mean, his all-time stats are like, he was a great goal scorer before the game really started evolving into what it is now. That's what's so impressive to me about Jerome McGinley. He broke into the league in 1996-97 for Calgary, played all 82 games as a rookie at age 19, very similar to what Forsberg did when he was a rookie for the Preds. I'm just saying that right now. But McGinley put up 21 goals in his rookie season, and then eventually he rounded out his NHL career with 625 goals and 1,300 career points.
Wow.
I mean, come on now. I mean, he was doing that during a time in the game when it wasn't necessarily as wide open, as easy to score goals as it is now. It was a very different league when he broke into it in the late 90s. So, Lindsay, very awesome ceremony for Jerome McGinley, and it's awesome. And he's probably one of the more likable players for most diehard hockey fans, even if you're not a Flames fan.
I don't think Lindsay's going to want to be my friend anymore because I didn't know who this guy was, and I made fun of Matthew Tkachuk, and she probably just is going to like kick me to the curb.
Well, she's also playing you in fantasy hockey this week, so I think she's just going to take it out on you in that way.
I think so. You're probably
right. All right. Without further ado, let's get to Kyle. Let's get to his Perks picks. We are always excited to have this every week. Kyle, full disclosure, Kyle never tells us what his picks are going to be. At least he does kind of share it, but a lot of times I like to go in here without knowing what he's going to say because it just makes it all the more interesting. So, Kyle, let's get started with your Perks picks for this week.
Well, and this time we didn't know what it was because he forgot his laptop. Did you leave it at work? Is that what you did? You left your notes at work, right?
I have a work
laptop. I'm sorry.
I have a work laptop, and I was on break, and I was like, okay, I'll just type them in on my laptop real quick instead of doing it on my phone. And it's like, okay, awesome. This was a whole lot easier. And then I didn't email them to myself so I could have them on my phone at home. And I was sitting there after supper, and I said, whoopsie.
Well, this fits perfect. This fits perfect into the theme of the episode, which is the wing it episode. So let's just wing it.
We're just hanging out.
All right, give us your first pick, Kyle.
So right before I came on, I heard y'all talking about all the penalties in the Arizona game. So the first pick is Feel Shame. As the great Denny Lemieux said, 35 minutes against Arizona. The Predators are third in the league with 138 penalty minutes.
Wow.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
The only two worse than the Predators are Arizona and Vancouver.
Those not great company. That's not good company right now.
No.
Yeah, one of them's getting ready to fire their coach and possibly their GM, and one of them is attempting to have the worst season in the history of the league.
They're doing it well too.
They are absolutely succeeding. But if you do what you did against Arizona, against Toronto, they are going to eat you alive. I know their
power play will hurt you.
Their power play hasn't been clicking like normal years this year so far. But if you give them 6 or 7 opportunities, they're going to burn you at least once or twice.
Yeah. And I'm just waiting any day now for Mitch Marner to start getting his game going a little better. And hopefully it's not tomorrow night.
Yeah, he's going to start lighting it up eventually. And you give them that many opportunities, they're going to hurt you. It's just bar none. You got to stay out of the box. And a lot of them are really weird, dumb penalties. Roman Yossi's had 2 pucks over glass penalties this year.
Not like him at all.
That's just not normal. Just bad discipline penalties at bad times. Stay out of the box. It's pretty simple. You win more games when you spend less time on the penalty.
Let's look over these. I'm looking over all the penalties right now in that Coyotes game, which I mean, yeah, it's a win, but I mean, I'm not pulling any stock out of that win other than they obviously had, other than the Coyotes are, yes, the Coyotes are legitimately that bad, like horrendous, historically bad. And the Predators still have some great players on their team who can overcome that type of opponent like the Coyotes. And so that's what saved them. They did not play a great game in that game. It was not that impressive at all. I'm just going to list over these penalties. That first period was just a dumpster fire of penalties. You had Matthew Olivier fighting. Big shocker there. Matthew Olivier was like, you know what? I want to get on this fighting here. I see all my buddies getting in all these fights all year. I've been down in Milwaukee hitting all year. I know how to fight, so I'm going to get in a fight. And so that's what he did. Right on schedule, Matthew Olivier gets in a fight, like not even 2 minutes into the game. And then Mark Borowiecki gets a kneeing against a Coyotes player. Michael McCarron serves it. Mark Borowiecki gets into a fight. I mean, it just Dante Fabro gets a tripping penalty in the first period. Then you get to the second period. Tommy Novak gets high sticking. Roman Josi is tripping. Roman Josi slashing. I mean, it was just not a smooth game at all. And the Preds cannot keep playing this way. It's going to eventually come back to haunt them. and their penalty kill looks a little bit better than it's looked in years past, but it's just not sustainable. They got to clean some stuff up. They got to tote that line of being a physical team, but also knowing when to take the right penalties and when to be a smarter team.
Yeah, I will say this about the Arizona game. I was scared to death of this game because they had just beaten St. Louis. I was afraid this was going to be the letdown game, kind of like the Chicago game was, where they came in absolutely flat. They had played some good games and went into Chicago and laid an egg. I was really scared they were going to come in and let Arizona beat them.
That would have been horrible. I mean,
and how classic Preds would that be to come in and let Arizona beat them at home on a Saturday night after beating St. Louis, who they had no business beating.
Also being their first game back home in 6 games, where it looks like fans are finally starting to come around and they're like starting to trust this team a little bit. And you drop an egg, you lay a big fat egg against the Coyotes, and you lose that game. It would have been like taking 2 steps forward to go 3 steps back with this fan base. So they did get the win. They did take care of business. I don't think it was very pretty or anything, but luckily they were playing the Coyotes, so they still got 2 points. Let's see what they do against Toronto. Before we get to your next pick, Kyle, we do want to talk about because this is fairly recent news that came out today, and maybe not everyone knows about it yet, but Thursday's game against the Ottawa Senators has been postponed. The Ottawa Senators have a massive COVID outbreak going on right now that's quite frankly going to jeopardize the Olympics possibly if this continues to be a trend. We're not going to get into the whole COVID-19 vaccine debate. That's not what we're here for. That is a very polarizing topic that we are not going to get into. So pick a different forum to get into that argument. But I will say that it is scary if this leaks out to other teams and you start getting into this bad trend of postponing games again. Mm-hmm. It's going to jeopardize the Olympic participation for the NHL, which they still have not had to complete. They can still have the power to withdraw from that right now if they have to. And if they have to use that big stretch in February to make up these games, they're going to choose to do that over participating in the Olympics because they have to preserve the season. They have to preserve the season.
Yep.
Let's hope that doesn't happen, though. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But so the Preds will not play Ottawa, so they play tomorrow night on Tuesday against the Maple Leafs, and then they play Montreal, I believe. Yeah. After that.
Yep.
So that's their next 2 games.
We were going to have a game to talk about on Thursday, but not now.
Yeah. Well, we'll still be here for you.
We'll be here.
Catfish on Ice 81. We'll be here. All right. Let's get to your next pick, Kyle.
All right. So, this is going to hurt some people's feelings.
All right.
So we won the Ellis trade already.
I was wondering where you were going.
I've told my story on here of how I became a hockey fan, and it was because of a play that Ryan Ellis did that I was like, oh my God. And that Ryan Ellis is an amazing player. He's done so much for Nashville, for the team, everything. He was a great leader while he was here, but there comes a time when you have to move on. And I think David Poyle hit that nail on the head when the time was to move on. I'm pretty sure Ryan this year has played, I think he played 4 games, got hurt, and then came back and played 1 game and is hurt again and is now week to week again.
Wow.
So, I mean, I understand people's frustration that Glass is in Milwaukee. We got Cody Glass as a project. He was a project.
You got to think of the long game. You got to think of the long game here.
And then you have Philippe Myers, who came in, and he was hurt at the beginning of the season. That's why he was wearing the full cage. He took a puck to the face and was injured. So he wasn't exactly 100% when the season started. He's came back in after the Carrier injury, and he's played well. He's not popping up on the score sheet, but he's not that guy. You know, everybody's like, well, how are we replacing Ryan Ellis? Alexander Carrier is there to replace Ryan Ellis. Philippe
you.
Myers is not your replacement for Ryan
Preach into
Ellis.
my choir.
He is not that guy. He's not gonna be that guy. He was never thought to be that guy. He is gonna be a lockdown, stay at home, second pairing, maybe defenseman, most likely third. But if you've got that guy that is a lockdown guy that you do not have to worry about anymore, that's a good thing to have. Whenever you've got somebody that's going to keep that puck out of the net, that Saros can go out and tap on the shoulder and say, "Hey, buddy, thanks."
Yep.
That's a great thing to have. So it's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What we're seeing from this trade is what I'm seeing from it is David Poile was thinking the long game here. Like, all right, I see some injury problems with Ryan Ellis. I see that his time's coming to an end quickly. Maybe you could have argued at the time of the trade that Ryan Ellis was going to have one more year left in him but David Poile basically did what everyone wanted him to do, which is rebuild.
Well,
but
yeah.
I guess it's not good enough when it's Ryan Ellis and
that's it.
And you have to send a guy to Milwaukee to newsflash here, but sometimes these young players have to go down to the minors and project and develop. It just doesn't happen overnight. If you watch hockey enough, you know that they don't just swoop into the NHL and turn into a top 6 player automatically. Like, it takes time, especially when they're as young as Cody Glass is. And you're trying to preserve this kid's future here. You're not trying to bury his confidence and ruin him before he even gets a chance. And so I think being in Milwaukee's good for him. I didn't like it at first, but I'm starting to come around to it. And Philippe Myers, I mean, I feel like he's serving his role, his very minor role in this team, and maybe he can get better as well. But yeah. As of now, unfortunately, because I love Ryan Ellis and I think he's a great, classy player, and he was such an important part of this team for so long. Captain-like material for Ryan Ellis while he was with the Predators.
Absolutely.
Such a classy guy, and it's so weird seeing him in a Flyers uniform. I remember Gritty, the mascot, the weird mascot for the Flyers. He put out a social media post right before the season started. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about.
I do.
But it was super cringy.
Yep.
It was really cringy. Like, it's like Gritty's like waving at Ellis, and he's like walking into the media room, and Ellis has this look like, "Please save me! Like, someone come rescue me!"
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was super cringe. The cringe alert way through the roof. So I miss Ellis. I think he's a good guy. I want him to be healthy and all that good stuff. But unfortunately, I think Poile saw that, hey, our time's over with. You have to let go of players you love sometimes. And so he did that, and I feel like the Preds are on the right side of this trade right now, obviously.
I do too.
Well, since y'all like that one and the wound's already open, let's go ahead and throw a little more salt in it. The Arvidsson trade, the direct result of the Arvidsson trade is Zachary Leroux.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I know where
Poile traded the picks to Minnesota. Was it Minnesota he traded to?
That sounds right. I think so.
I'll pull it up.
I don't remember.
But either way, whoever he traded those picks to, Carolina. It was Carolina. We got Carolina's first round pick. He traded those 2 picks he got for Victor Arvidsson to draft Zachary Leroux in the first round. So if you're hyped up about Leroux, you kind of have to take that Arvidsson leaving with a little bit of grace. And I'm glad that Arvidsson's doing well out in LA. I've always really liked the guy. It wasn't fitting for him with the Predators.
Yeah. I think we talked about this before about obviously I'm not going to put Rocco Grimaldi on the same pedestal as Victor Arvidsson, but guys like him, those faster skaters, are just not, the team's just not built for those guys anymore to thrive like they used to. It's just a different kind of team. And like, we hated to see Arvidsson go.
Well, let's talk about,
he's awesome.
So I haven't really been following Arvidsson lately, but he hasn't played since October 30th.
Oh, really?
Wow. He's got 5 points.
He's only played in 8 games this year. He has not played since October 30th. I'll be honest, I have not been following Victor Arvidsson lately, so I haven't really been tracking his season. We can do some research on why he's been out, but I totally missed it. But he's not played since October 30th. So, so you got 2 key Predators players who we traded over the offseason who are missing significant time right now. So yeah.
So
I'm having a hard. It's looking like lower body injury according to Daily Faceoff. So take that for what it is, but
that could be anything.
It said all right. So the latest update here from Daily Faceoff is Arvidsson COVID-19 is not expected to play Wednesday. Was a late scratch from the lineup on Sunday. This is from November 3rd though, so I'm really having a hard time finding anything. So if anyone if anyone has anything on Arvidsson, get in on the chat here because I'm having a hard time finding anything.
That's probably right though. It's 10 days, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think the total.
Yeah, he's going to be out a bit.
Yeah,
man. So just hard all the way around there.
Yeah.
So with those 2 mentioned, how does that make you feel about Philip Forsberg?
Well, we kind of I'm going to let Rich go first, but I will say we mentioned it. We mentioned it at the beginning of the episode. I was being a little facetious with my comments here, a little sarcastic. But let's just go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off now and trade him to Minnesota, and Minnesota can have another one of our castaways.
I don't know, if he's not willing to play ball at before the trade deadline, I think you have to try to get something.
All right. But Kyle, let me ask you this. Where do you think his value's at right now, though? I mean, I know he was playing well before he left this game. And I know there's a lot of teams that would love to have him, but you got to think his value is sinking a little bit right now.
Yes, I would think something in the – what does he make now?
I'm looking it up.
I think he makes in the 6s.
What do the Predators need to get out of him? Is I guess my point. Like, I mean, what would you be okay with as far as like, okay, I'm willing to let Forsberg go. I'm willing to let go of one of our best goal scorers in team history, not homegrown player, but a player that we brought in as a rookie. Basically, he played his first NHL game in a Preds uniform. He's like, he's been here for so long. He's a face of the franchise. What do we have to get to justify trading him away? I mean,
$6 million is what his contract is.
I would think 6 by 7. I think would be a fair contract with his injury history the last couple of years. 6 by 7.
But what would you want out of him in a trade if we do deal him before the deadline? I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I mean, if you're going to trade this guy, you better get a very good return out of him. I don't think you can just dish him. I don't think you just dish him out just to get rid of him like fans you did with.
Yeah, fans are going to take
first
that.
And a good prospect. A first round pick.
I'll take a first round pick and run with it. And I want a first round pick in this draft.
Yeah.
This draft or the next draft. Actually, I would prefer next year.
Okay.
The 23 draft is even more loaded than the 22.
And like you said, Kyle, if you take in another really good prospect, you boost that prospect pool even more. The Preds prospect pool is already starting to get a lot of really good national attention from a lot of top analysts. You get another prospect out of him. I mean, because you're already seeing like the Preds are doing decent without him right now. I would still like to have him because the offense is still not exactly where I would like it to be. But
I would love to see him stay, but if you can't let somebody with that much value walk for nothing.
Exactly.
They were close to doing that with Granlund, and that would have been bad enough, but Forsberg letting him walk for nothing, that's a bad look.
I'm already on record as saying this. I don't think Forsberg is going to want to come back. If he makes it to free agency next year, something tells me, and I'm not going off of any type of quotes or insider information. I'm not famous like Elliot Friedman, but I'm just saying, like, something tells me in the pit of my stomach that and I wouldn't blame him for this, but if he reaches the free agency market, he is going to be very tempted to flap his wings somewhere else, thrive somewhere else, chase a Stanley Cup somewhere else. And even if he's not the guy wherever he goes, like he is here, he might be willing to play a smaller role on a different team. But in the end, these guys are competitors. They want to win Stanley Cups. And if he feels like he can't do it here, he's going to go do it elsewhere, and you can't blame him for that either.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of agreeing.
We'll move on to
same
happier things.
Yeah, Kyle, can you give us some positive stuff here, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll close that wound up. And we'll go on to the new top line that the Predators have been running, and that's Tanner Jeannot, Ryan Johansson, and Philly Tomasino.
Yep.
Ryan Johansson looks like a new man.
He does.
Playing with these young guys. He did the intermission interview the other day after the goal that he scored where Jeannot came driving up the outside and dished him the pass underneath the goalie across the crease, and he just dunked it in. Johansson was so happy. He was so excited. And I think he was more excited for Jeannot than he was for himself. He was saying in his interview, I heard this big horse coming up behind me. And he said, so I dished it over to him and he dished it back to me. And you could see when Ryan Johansson has that little smirky grin on his face, good things are happening. That is the telltale sign of this team is okay. I haven't seen that look on Ryan Johansson's face in a while. I love seeing him play with the young guys. I love seeing that they have Tomasino on the line with these two big bruisers because that allows him space to operate. If you want to create space, there's not two better guys to put on a line with Tomasino because Ryan Johansson has them long orangutan arms, as he calls them, and then Jeannot can make a lot of room with his physical presence as well. Those two guys are going to give Phil that space he needs to do these little silky moves that he is so good at.
And can we? I think we should give some credit where credit's due to John Hines for maneuvering this lineup through tricky times, dealing with a lot of young players, having to figure out almost like building this complicated puzzle. And we've criticized him plenty of times when he rolls out some of these lineups, and then it turns out to work out okay. And I just think he's done a really good job so far as having to not have an easy go of it when it comes to constructing these four lines. Whereas other head coaches in this league, they know what they want to do. They have their roster. They know who needs to be where. There was no blueprint to how to build this lineup going into this season, in my opinion. He had to really work. It was a work in progress. It's been a work in progress through these 15 games. And then somehow he's got this team. What is it? 1 point out of first place right now. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff, even through 15 games. Very good pick, Kyle. What do you got to say, Rich? What do you think about it, man? About this pick?
No, yeah, that's good. I agree. Johansson's playing really well. I was looking up his stats. So last season he only had 22 points in 48 games. So he's already at 9, 5 goals already. He only had 7 last season, all last season. So
22 points. 22 points in how many games was it? You said 48?
48, yeah, he was hurt.
22 points in 48 games as a build top line center is absolutely horrendous. So he had nowhere to go but up. So it's really nice to see him trending back towards that. He looks comfortable. He looks loose out there. He looks very confident. He looks like he's not carrying anything on him. So that's great. Before we move on with the rest of Perk's picks here, we do got to throw a shout out to DraftKings. And, of course, we've got an awesome offer going for you right now as the NHL season is underway. And the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has an unbelievable offer to celebrate the greatest sport on ice. New customers can bet just $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets. If either team scores a goal, doesn't matter if it's a one-timer, a clapper, a wrister, a deflection, The Preds like to score a lot of deflection goals. However they light the lamp, you win. And if the fantasy, if the sports betting is not available in your area, you can do the daily fantasy as well, which is also a lot of fun. So go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Throw down $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. This week, one puck in the net nets you a big win with promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years or older in Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania. New customers only. A minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager is required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So definitely do that. It's an easy $100 winning bet there. All you got to do is bet on a team to score a goal. And you win $100 in free bets, a $1 bet. Easy win there for you. And we got that promotion going for you all this week at the DraftKings Sportsbook app for new users and new sign-up customers. So go do that, please. Now, let's get back into Perk's picks here with Kyle Perkins.
So, I hate Christmas music before Thanksgiving, but I had to.
What's wrong with you?
You might want to talk to Rich about that because he's blaring the Christmas music.
We've been listening to it for 2 weeks. What are you talking about?
Oh, 2 weeks.
God! Oh,
we have our Christmas tree up, Kyle. Our tree's up already.
I've always been. It's fair game after Thanksgiving, but at least make it to Thanksgiving.
Yep,
that's me.
It's holly jolly around here. Holly
all
jolly.
right, fair enough.
I won't step on your joy though. You bless your Mariah Carey.
Don't be a Scrooge. Don't be a Scrooge.
Hey, I will not listen to that song in the house.
Well, Rich is a big musician aficionado. So,
yeah,
Rich, before we move on, let's just get into it. You're forcing us to get into the Christmas spirit here, Rich, so might as well do it. Rich, what's your favorite Christmas song?
Christmas Time, the Charlie Brown.
Okay.
Ooh.
Charlie Brown. All the Charlie Brown music.
Kyle,
from the Christmas
Kyle,
special.
what's your favorite Christmas song?
Carol of the Bells.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
But a good version of it.
Mine is predictably well, I don't even know the name of the song, but it's I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
There's a very good John Cougar Mellencamp version of that.
Yeah, that's mine. Okay. All right. No more Christmas. We're like so far away from Christmas. All right, Kyle, go ahead.
Okay, so my next pick is Do You See What I See? And UC Saros, everybody talked last year about how his save percentage was not sustainable. His performance was not a sustainable performance. Well, at this point in the season this year, he has a .927 save percentage, which is identical to last year, what he finished with. He finished with a 927 last year. The only difference is this year he has a 2.17 goals against average. Last year he had a 2.28 goals against average. So when you get down to it, UC Saros is having a better year this year so far to this point than he had last year. That kid is on one. He's just on another level. He's for his size. I know everybody talks about his size all the time. He is ridiculously good, and especially when he's at a disadvantage, it's just astounding to watch him work. There's just not a lot of goals that get by him that shouldn't. If he gets beat, chances are it's one of those tip your hat to him. There wasn't much you could do on it.
Or it's a defensive breakdown. Like it's a really bad defensive breakdown.
Yeah, he had
Most
no chance on it or something like that. It's not goalie error the majority of the times that one gets past him.
Right. I've only seen a couple so far this season that he would want back that I can think of, but the rest of them, like you said, definitely not his fault.
For sure.
So
I'm looking. He's also starting to really round out into form when it comes to goalie saves above expected per 60. according to Jay Fresh and his analytics, Saros has moved into around the middle part of the league. And the way the season started and the way the Preds started, he was way back down there, and he's finally starting to climb his way back up into a positive part. UC Saros is kind of ranked up there with Connor Hellebuck, and he's up there with Jordan Bennington. So he's up there around like your normal goaltenders that you expect him to be with. So he's right up there in the positive territory when it comes to goals saved above expected per 60, which is basically just rating how well is he playing based off of all the situations around him that he really can't control.
Absolutely. He's just doing everything that you need to do. It's like I said, it's just fun to watch him do his job.
I think we can all.
He does it so well.
He does.
I think we can all agree that if the Preds fall short this season, it's not going to be because of UC Saros.
No, you can't blame him for it. That's for certain. So, moving on to our final pick, our number one this week, and it's also a number, and that is the Sweet 16.
All right.
Predators have 3 players in the top 25 in scoring, and they all have 16 points. And they all have 16 points. Sorry, that's Roman Yossi, Kyle Granlund, and Matt Duchene. And now they're going about these in a little bit different ways when it goes from one to the other. We'll start off with Duchene. Duchene scored 9 goals and 7 assists, 5 goals in the last 5 games.
He's on fire.
He is absolutely killing it. The guy has made this move over to wing, and I don't think he goes back to center at this point.
No.
I don't think there's a reason to, and this goes for the same for Granlund. Mikhail Granlund looks like the best playmaking center in hockey right now that isn't on the Oilers. I mean, he's making everybody around him look better. You don't think about it a lot because he's not scoring the goals. He's only got 3 goals, but 13 assists. You're doing some Sidney Crosby like dishing out there if you're getting 13 assists this early in the season. I'm not saying he's Sidney Crosby, not saying that at all, but he's playing really good hockey and making his team better. Going back to Duchene real quick, I've actually heard a couple of people mentioning Duchene maybe making the Canadian Olympic team.
Oh,
that would be really cool.
I think I heard that as well. Yeah,
that would be. Talk about a dramatic change of events if he somehow makes the Canadian team.
To go from not even protected in the expansion draft to potentially making the Canadian team, that would be a heck of a turnaround for a guy. That would, and I love to see it. It's awesome. I'm so happy for him that he finally got over the snake bit thing, and it seems like he finally stopped. Yeah, I'm a country boy. I'm from out in the sticks, and you hear the old timers talk about mules, and they'll fight against the bit, which is goes in their mouth. He's stopped fighting against the bit. He's playing to the system. He's playing within the system, and now the system is working for him.
And you've heard Duchene quoted as saying to the media saying, like, look, we're having fun this year. We never get too low. Like, even if we fall behind, we don't get too far down. And you see that in his game. Like, you totally see it. It's right there for the eye test. You can see him playing a much more loose game, and he just looks comfortable. Whereas last season, a lot of times he was pressing. Like, he was trying almost too hard. And so you're seeing that, and it's finally working out for him. He's getting a little bit of luck bouncing his way as well, and it's working out for him. You got to hope he can sustain it because, Kyle, I shared this stat. I'm sure you know about it. His first 15 games in a Preds uniform are very similar to his numbers this year. I'm not trying to be a dark cloud. I'm just stating a fact here. Let's just hope that he can continue it this time. Because I remember when his first few games in a Preds uniform, people could not get enough of it. They were like, "Oh my!" He scored 3 points. He scored 3 points in his first NHL game with the Preds. So it's like he shot off like a rocket his first season, and then he went on this disappearing act. Let's make sure that he's not going to go back to his old form. But something tells me he's not, because he does have a different mindset.
See, the one thing that really shows me the difference in his game this year to last year, Rich and my favorite Matt Duchene move, that go behind the net and get pinched.
Yep.
I figured out what he's doing to prevent that from happening. He's shooting the puck instead of taking it behind the net.
Yep.
He is firing the puck more. He is simply taking more shots. What did he do in Colorado and Ottawa whenever he was successful, and Columbus when he was successful? He fired the puck, and that's how he did well. So
yeah, I think like you said, him going behind the net, that's a center move. He's trying to look for somebody to dish it to, and he can't. He just needs to shoot it now. I think that's what he's got in his mind, and that's what has definitely helped him.
He's definitely, his rate of shots per game is definitely way ahead of his career pace. Yeah. So he's definitely shooting the puck more than what he's done in his career, which is just, I mean, it's obvious when you see him play right now. And then you brought up Mikael Granlund, Kyle. So you've got your assist leaders right now going into Monday's action, which there's only 2 games tonight. You've got Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins tied for the league with 17 points. You've got Ryan Getzlaf. Talk about, I mean, I don't like the guy at all, but talk about a resurgence of a career. The fact that he's still, because he was damaged goods over the offseason. Everyone was like, don't touch Ryan Getzlaf. He's over the hill. He's done. Well, he's got 16 points this year. You got Leon Dry. How about you got 3 Oilers players who are in the top 2 in assists right now, with Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Draisaitl. And then you've got Ovechkin with 14 assists, showing that he's still got an all-around game to him. You've got Evgeny Kuznetsov, who I don't know a lot about, but he's got 14 points.
Kuznetsov is good.
Kuznetsov, yeah. Thank you for pronouncing that right for me. And then you've got Robert Thomas for the Blues with 14. So you got Granlund right behind that group of players with 13 assists. So he's right there. He's doing what we hoped we were getting out of it when we traded for him and sent off our beloved Kevin Fiala.
Yeah, and it's sad. I mentioned it earlier. Peter Laviolette just about ruined Granlund when he came here. He was broken goods when John Hines showed up, and since then he's become this.
He thrives under John Hines.
He sure does,
and it's obvious. It's pretty ridiculous, really. And our last one, for me, anyways, is Josi. Roman Josi looks like a Norris Trophy winning defenseman.
Absolutely, he does.
They asked him how he felt this year compared to his Norris season, and he said he felt like he was playing his best hockey he's ever played. And I would tend to agree. He's got 6 goals, 10 assists, 4 power play goals. I don't know about y'all, but the one that he got the other night, that was one of the hardest shots I think I've seen come from a Predators defenseman since Shea left.
Yeah.
That was an absolute cannon.
That one-timer that went, yes, that was beautiful.
Yeah, it shocked me whenever it's just, I would like to see the mile per hour off of that one, because that was a boomer. And Yosi's playing good defense. He's setting up the offense, and he is generally the best skater on the ice whenever he's out there.
I'm probably going to get some pushback for this, but I actually think he's playing like a league MVP right now. And I'm not saying he's an MVP over McDavid. You might as well just go ahead and pencil that award in for McDavid every year right now. But and there's other players out there that I would maybe slot against Josi. I'm not saying he's going to win an MVP or anything like that, but he is definitely playing like an MVP caliber player and not just a Norris Trophy player, because he is so important to this Preds team. You pluck Josi off this Preds team, I'm sorry. They're flirting with the Coyotes and with the Blackhawks and those teams in the division right now. They would not even be close. He does so much for this team. defensively, offensively, as a captain, as a leader. The Preds would have to change how they do everything if Yossi was not on that team. And that's the definition of an MVP, is how valuable you are to your team. I'm sorry. If Connor McDavid wasn't on the Oilers, I still think they'd be a playoff team. They wouldn't be as good, obviously, and I do think he's still going to win the MVP and should be an MVP. I'm just saying Yossi is absolutely fits the bill of being a top type of MVP status player based on what he does for the Predators.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the heart and soul of the team, especially without Pekka. Yos is the guy. He's not the screaming, yelling captain, but you can kind of tell that everybody looks to him. Whenever Yossi gets that mad look on his face, that team's playing mad because every one of them's looked at him and seen that, hey, Yos is ticked off. We should all be ticked off too.
Yeah. I agree.
So
it's good to see him get back on. Like, he had a really good season last year, but it didn't seem like it was what we were used to seeing. And it's good to see him get back on track.
A down season for Yossi is a good season for a lot of defensemen.
Yep. Absolutely. It's just not what we were used to seeing.
I mean, there's a lot of great defensemen right now, so I'm not saying he's going to win the Norris Trophy this year. I'll be shocked if he's not at least a nominee or candidate, top 3 finalist, the way he's playing right now. But, I mean, you got some great defensemen out there. I mean, Adam Fox for the Rangers is arguably the best defenseman in the game right now, but Yossi's right there. So those are some awesome picks right there, Kyle. That's been this week's edition of Perk's Picks with Kyle Perkins. We have been winging it all episode for episode 80 as the Preds have a night off.
We got to check in with Lindsay real quick. Lindsay's back on Facebook YouTube. Just real quick, she said her favorite Christmas song is "Where Are You Christmas."
Oh, I like that song.
Yeah,
it's from
who did it? I don't know.
It is from The Grinch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there
Cindy
you go.
Lou Who sings it.
We got another question from Lindsay. Is there any idea when the outdoor game, the Stadium Series jersey, will be revealed for Nashville? I have not heard any official announcement. You got to think it's coming soon, though. I cannot wait to see that jersey. You know what? You know what's crazy about this whole jersey concept thing is when the Winter Classic jersey came out, I was not a big fan of it. I was like, but then I was like, okay, they're paying homage to the Dixie Flyers, and it grew on me. The reverse retro, again, I was like, it could have been better. I would have liked the navy blue more, but it grew on me, and now I love the reverse retro. So I'm really curious to see what direction they go with the Stadium Series jersey. Will they go the navy blue? You see all these got these people on social media who come up with these cool designs for jerseys, and I mean, they're so freaking cool. And you've seen so many cool Preds concepts where it's the navy blue, and I would really love for them to go that route. Kind of like and you're playing in the Titans Stadium, so why not kind of like tie it in with Titans navy blue? And have fun with it there. That's what I'm hoping to see.
If you look at all the gear and the hats and the shirts that they've released for it, they're all navy.
Oh, well.
So
there you go.
But I don't know. But I don't know exactly when they'll announce it. But of course they're playing Tampa Bay, who also has the navy blue in their uniform colors. So I just don't know how that's going to work there. It'd be very interesting. They have released theirs. They did release theirs?
Yeah, Tampa released theirs a while back.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I didn't see that either.
I didn't see that either.
So Lindsay said she wants a Jeannot jersey when they come out. And then we mentioned Justin Gambino's in here, and we mentioned Pecorine, and he gave us a bunch of crying smiley faces. So that's how we feel too, man. Anytime Pekka game's brought up, we're right there with you.
We're right there with you, Justin, on that one for sure. We can't wait for that jersey retirement ceremony at Bridgestone for sure. All right, before we round out episode 80, this is Chad Minton with Rich Howe and Kyle Perkins. As we've been winging it all episode, it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun tonight.
Yep.
And before we wrap it up, let's update everyone on our fantasy hockey league right now.
Oh.
The Catfish on Ice podcast fantasy hockey league. We've already had some people comment on the YouTube stream who are in the league. Justin Gambino's in it. Lindsay's in the league. Our guy Kyle Perkins with us right now is in the league as well. So we've got a lot of tie-ins here. And let's update how we're doing here. I got a big win this week. Without my guys, I still got a win. Still figured it out. I'm coming around to it. Mikael Granlund, thank you. I picked you up in fantasy. You did not let me down. My guy Rob Reese at NHL.com fantasy editor came on the podcast. He told me to drop Jamie Benn, and he said, you need to go look for other types of players. And he slightly mentioned either Granlund or Duchene, but I don't think Duchene was available. So you know what? I said, I'm going to drop Jamie Benn, and I'm going to pick up Mikael Granlund. And Granlund got me 4 assists in his first game for my team. Thank you, Rob Reese, for that. You're welcome on the podcast every episode for the duration of this fantasy season, as far as I'm concerned. But either way, he got me a big win. Let's look at the league here. I'm in. Let's see. We still got Matt Hardesty just crushing everybody. The guy's got. Listen to this. He's 5-0, and he's got 400 more points than everyone else in the league.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, we have no chance. Like he's just. And when you look at his team on paper, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's. He's got Yossi. He's got Marchand. He's got Bergeron. He's got Pasternak. He's heavy. He's heavy on the Boston Bruins players.
Hey man, that's a good line.
But he's crushing everybody right now. Kyle, I think you're in second place right now, Kyle.
I just noticed that. And that's why I've got this little stupid grin on my face.
You didn't even know it?
No, I had no clue.
Yeah. So tiebreaker between the records is how many points you have, which is probably going to be the downfall for me because I do not have that many points. I'm just figuring out ways to win. But, so Kyle's in second place. You got Lindsay and Rich playing each other this week. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch there. Yep. So Rich's team is Zachary LaRue flips off of who, and he is Rich. Have you lost 3 games in a row in the fantasy league? I feel like you haven't won in a while.
I think it's 2 in a row.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we've got Lindsay. Rough. Lindsay's team's looking good. And then this league's been a lot of fun. We've got third place, I believe, is the Juicers, which is let's see who the Juicers is. The Juicers is Justin Gambino, who just got in on the chat. He's in third place, so he's doing really good. He's got Nathan McKinnon on his team. He's got Kyle Connor, who's just crushing it right now. He's got Adam Fox for his defense. He's got a really good looking team as well. And then let's see. It's going to
be a rough week for him, though. Justin did. He said it's going to be a rough week for me. You're in third, man.
Well, the thing about fantasy hockey is, I mean, you've got to check every day. Like you really have to. You can if you forget to check your roster for a day, you can end up leaving someone on your bench. You can end up starting a goaltender, leaving a goaltender on your bench. Like you really do have to check it every day. It's a really out of all the fantasy sports, it's really hard. We've got in fourth place Osei Ken Yosei, which is Max Ritz, who is our guy from the Squadcast. He's in fourth place. So yeah, it's been a really fun league. Having a blast. And remember, as long as it's not me or Rich, top player gets a $50 Amazon gift card and also gets a Catfish on Ice merchandise item of their choice. So that's going to be fun to see as well. See who gets that.
So you remember earlier when I was saying Lindsay might not want to be my friend because I've made fun of Matthew Tkachuk and all that. So just on YouTube, I said that I had this is two losses I've had the past 2 weeks. She said third loss this week, Rich. She's calling me out. She's going to beat me this week, she says. You probably are going to do that. I'm not very good at this, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just start doing some more research and put a little more into it and see what I can pull out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You might have to do some work with your roster, Rich. It looks like you're
We're pretty close. Like if you look at the projection right now, we're pretty close. But
hey, Rich, Alex Ovechkin can only take you so far. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Hey, I got
and why are you
off of a defenseman
Rich? And Rich, why are you carrying four goaltenders on your roster?
I don't know.
You need to drop one. I'm gonna give you Rich, I'm gonna give you free fantasy advice because I love you. Please drop one of your goaltenders. You do not need to have 4 goaltenders on your roster.
One of them's hurt. One of them's not injured.
Hey, you got to use those injured reserve spots strategically.
All right. See, I don't know what I'm doing. I said I
don't
know what I'm doing.
I have on IR. I have Bowen Byram, I have Carey Price, and Patrick Laine on my team on IR, just sitting there chilling, waiting for him to come back.
It's very smart that you have Patrick Laine on there because he's going to tear it up when he comes back. So that's good.
So you can see why I don't gamble, right? You can tell now why I don't gamble because I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, it's still fun.
Rich, no matter where you finish, I'll send you another Catfish on Ice hat since you don't wear any hats anyway. So. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
All right. It's been a lot of fun. This has been episode 80 with Edmonton, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins. It's been a lot of fun. We can't wait to bring you another episode this week. It'll be Thursday. We appreciate all of you for getting in on the YouTube channel chat, for following the podcast every day on social media, at Catfish Ice on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, again on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We would really greatly appreciate that. We love bringing the podcast to you. It's so much fun. Go Nashville Predators. We are streaking. We're having a good time. Let's hope it continues. Until then, everyone stay safe and have a great week. We will see you on Thursday for a brand new episode.
Have a good one.